I'm Vincent. I chair the membership committee and I'm the official timekeeper.
And good morning, I'm Scott, the meeting secretary and the handsome face of Untitled Chapter.
Thank you very much. And we would have hoped to have Ben here, but we haven't. And I think you've all seen that he's currently under the hospital, and we wish him well and hope that we do see him next week if possible. Right, with that out of the way, what do we do next? Well, you may be seated.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry. You're going to stay standing because you're going to tell me something. It is, actually, that's what I was going to say. I haven't been doing this for a couple of weeks, so I've got to refresh my mind. The Performance League is next, and Scott will let us know what it is.
So, we are into March, which means we close down Fed, and I can pass around the chart of Fed to show you how it's all worked out. I must apologise for only the month and beating everyone by 100 points. Sorry guys, that's where you need to be, up at the top. There it is. Don't forget to record your stats and info so that you can take part on this graph. Thank you very much.
Right. In the absence of Ben, I was standing in for him, and therefore I'm introducing the Ed slot. And the Ed slot is going to be dealt with today by our timekeeper, critic extraordinaire and timekeeper.
Hey!
Morning everyone, morning everyone. Morning. So we all have to think of something to say every week in our 60-second presentations, and it can be difficult to think of an interesting pitch every week and to talk about something that adds value. So I'm going to give you a few tips, hints and tips on some things you can talk about, how to construct your 60 seconds. One, you could use a case study. You can show examples of some finished work that you've produced for a satisfied customer, photos or samples. Two, you can discuss various jobs or projects that you've been working on this week. Three, you can tell us how you benefited a customer this week. What did you do for them? How did you help them out? Did you get them out of a tight spot by responding to an urgent request? Four, you can read out a short testimonial from a satisfied customer. Five, you can use the old who do you know? Very powerful, who do you know? Don't worry about being too specific either. It can be who do you know who runs a dry cleaning company? Who do you know who's a restaurant manager? You can even ask for an introduction to a specific person at a specific company. You never know who we know, that's why we call it networking. You can read a poem, specifically about your service. That's been done a few times before. You can... Where is it? Yes. You can sing a song. You can do a dance. You can play some background music. You can stand on your chair. Anything to be remembered. And it doesn't have to be remembered for the right reasons, does it? Oh. That's a dirty one. It's your 60 seconds and you can do what you like with it. A previous member once told us that he went to Hampton Court Palace last week. It was a bit random, but that was his court. Does anyone remember that? The architect. Is it Alan?
Yeah.
If we're still Zooming, you can try a short PowerPoint presentation using screen share. If you get it right, it can be very effective, but please try it a few times to make sure you're not faffing about at the start of your presentation. You can start your own meeting to actually practice a nice, smooth presentation. 10, number 10. This has been that long. Try to format your minute with your opening line. Good morning, my name is Brian Painter from Pilgrim Hypnotherapy. He'd love that. It's a shame he's not here today. What are you looking for this week? How you can add value, and your closing memory book. Help is only a phone call away. And please, run through it a few times. Make sure it is 60 seconds. There were a couple of serial offenders at a previous group I used to be a member of who ran to over 4 minutes every week, Tony and with no one stopping them. This went on every week until I took over his chair, and then the bell was introduced. In the end, if you give a memorable presentation, you could also be considered for the Oscar. And how good does that feel, eh? How good does that feel? That's it, really. Thank you.
membership matters, Terry, of course, is away on holiday this week, but just to keep you all up to date, we still have a visitor because Emma has applied to join, and that is being processed. When Terry's back, that will no doubt gain momentum, and hopefully sort things out by this time next week. Right, the business card box. Members entitled to have their business cards in there. I'm going to pass it round. Check that you're representative of the card. Check also that check out the card that you might need to effect introductions. Right. That leads us into the 60-second round. Your chance to highlight your business, but only in 60 seconds. 60 seconds does now mean 60 seconds and not 90 seconds, which is what it used to do when we were Zoom. So 60 seconds means that, and Ben was doing the Oscar last week. This week, Richard Reed has taken over his job, and we'll be listening out carefully, and we'll award the Oscar at the end of the session. Vincent, of course, is our bellman, and he will ring his bell after 50 seconds, and then after 60 seconds. If you can tell the difference between that, you'll know when you've got to stop talking. Sign off once the bell goes. We are 20 today, which is a better turnout than we usually anticipated, so well done on that, chaps. Right, without more ado, let's get underway. The first up will be Richard, so that he can consider the others afterwards, and after him will be Mike Smith.
Morning, everyone. Richard Reed, Cottage Prestige Holidays and Travel Limited. I'm an independent travel consultant. It's still a bit sticky out there with travel. I was looking at an inquiry for Australia for someone the other day, and it's the first inquiry for Australia for a while because obviously, but the rules for entry for COVID restrictions now change by state. So you're not looking at one overall situation for the country. You've got to look at the itinerary and see what they've got, all the boxes they've got to tick for each state they're travelling through at the same time. It's completely a pain in the arse. What was I going to say? I've got a loyal base of customers and clients that come back to me, which is good. So as and when they feel confident in travel, wherever they say, Rich, the first question these days are you still working? And I say, yes. I work for choice, I don't work for need, which is good. And they've been good, they've been loyal, they came back to me themselves without any prompting, and I enjoy what I do. That's Richard at Prestige. I'm going to create a lifetime of memories for you all once more.
Thank you, Richard. Mike, you're next, followed by Alison.
Good morning, everyone. I've been busy the past week with a trip down to Bournemouth to film some testing with the local fire brigade and university department, as well as helping plan out a YouTube mental health and wellbeing educational series with another client. The similarity in these jobs has been a focus on producing good quality interviews. This requires clear audio, a well-lit and prepared presenter, and an interesting but not distracting background. All things that produce a good cinematic-looking talking head piece. There's so many more options than just having someone speak directly into the camera. Interviews aren't just for documentary type work, they're fantastic for giving an overview of the business, describing a new product or service, and for producing testimonials from previous happy fire customers. And once they're set up, they're also quick to produce, making them a cost-effective way of putting together a large amount of content. Interspersing the talking head shots with relevant footage of what is being discussed is the final touch, making professional video the customers are far more likely to engage with than pages of text. So if anyone looking for high-quality video content, please put them in touch with me at Blackwood's Media. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Alison, you're next, and you're followed by Toby.
Good morning, everybody. Alison Vane, Unique Minds Counselling, supporting those who are struggling with emotional or mental health issues. So the situation in Ukraine is obviously causing a lot of uncertainty at present, and many of our clients are voicing very overwhelming feelings, anxiety and fear, and how this is affecting their mental health. Especially this is in adolescents and young people. So I just wanted to share a couple of things that we suggest to them to help them. So firstly, don't overexpose yourself to the news. Remember, don't wake up, first thing you do is grab your phone to look at what's happening in the world, and when you go to bed at night, don't make sure that it's not the last thing you do before you go to sleep at night. Take breaks as well. If you see something that really is upsetting you, do something that will calm you. So maybe some breathing techniques, listening to music, even writing down how you feel. And the most important thing is you are feeling overwhelmed by anything that's going on in the news, speak to somebody. So if anybody knows anybody needs any support at the moment, please get in touch and I'd be lovely to help them. So as and when you need counselling.
Toby, you're next. Followed by
Good morning everybody, Toby Acton, Business Growth and Development Specialist. I spoke last week about my new qualification as an accredited licensed practitioner of motivational match. It's an ISO accredited tool. We're working with individuals, with teams, with businesses for measuring, understanding, improving motivation, the effectiveness and performance. Because productivity is a function of skills, a function of direction, a function of motivation. But most business owners don't know or they don't understand their employees' motivations. So by helping them understand their staff better and appealing to their needs and their values, we can boost productivity and all the benefits that come to the business as a whole. The mapping process is based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which many of you will be familiar with, but also Edgar Schein's career anchors, which is used extensively in recruitment. I came across it about 6 months ago and I was really impressed with its accuracy. I can see how it can benefit businesses of all sizes. Enjoy working with people like Mike and his business and really excited about the difference that it's going to make to businesses. So if you'd like to know more, have a chat.
Thank you very much, Toby. First of the John London buses, John Freeman. I know, I'm exercising my discretion.
My name's John, one-stop property shop, the group's handyman, painter decorator, plumber, extraordinaire. It's a bit of a rant this week. It's a bath waste. That part is what you see underneath the bath. You don't see. And it should marry up with UK PVC waste pipes, and it don't. None of them, because I bought all of them, and it's caused a few problems, because obviously when the bath's full and you open the plug and let the water run out, this becomes under pressure at 200 litres of water, and it leaks a lot. And if you can't get a decent watertight seal on it, it's a problem. And the problem is that quality control doesn't work well when people that do it are working from home. So the thread is too short to allow complete compression from the UK PVC compression plant, and also there's a spigot that sits inside that doesn't fit. So I had to re-mill that part on site to get a functional part. But we've done it. Someone's quite happy about it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, John. I think Vince would agree that it was worthwhile waiting to hear.
We're just about to get the double bit of it.
The end of it. I'll try and work it out later. Thanks, John. John.
Hi, I'm John Hammond from JMA. We install all your security needs, whether it's fire alarms, access control, or CCTV. But what sets us apart from everybody else? Well, if a client has a problem, like City based it on Friday, we take the problem and we own it. We installed their access control system over a month ago, and all of a sudden on Friday it stopped working. We asked them what had changed. Their IT department had been on site and denied any knowledge of touching the access control system. So we hopped on the train, straight down Liverpool Street over to Chancery Lane, went and had a look at the system. IT department fitted a new network switch. So the next 2 hours I spent arguing with their IT department, who still said it was nothing to do with them. When I got their commercial director on the phone, and they spoke to the help desk, all they had to do was configure the port. The system was back up and working within 10 minutes. So, if you want someone who will argue with the people and get your system working, that's me, John Hammond from JMH Technology, applying technology to security.
Thank you very much, John. Now, if you thought John Freeman was difficult to work out, John Hammond just done us up the ante. Thanks, John. Sarah is next, followed by Colin.
Morning everybody, Sarah Steele from Bexford Money, and we provide financial education through the workplace really to help employees understand their personal finances to reduce their money stress. Now, as you'd imagine at the moment, we're getting lots of requests from companies who are really concerned that the cost of living is going up and how that's going to impact on their employees. So over the next couple of months, we've got a whole series of webinars happening to lots of different employers for their employees, just talking about how people can budget, how people can reduce their costs on a monthly basis, maybe increase their income through state benefits in order to absorb that extra 50% at least that they're going to get on their energy bills. I don't know about you, most of us live in the utility warehouse. I got my letter yesterday telling me about my 50% increase. So that's what we do. We really help employees understand their personal finances. We mainly deal with wellbeing managers and HR directors, so if you know any of those who want to help their employees, please put them in touch with me. Sarah Steele, That's With Money.
Thank you, Sarah. I haven't received mine yet, so I'm really
Look forward to that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Colin O'Connor is next, followed by James.
Good morning. My name is Colin O'Connor. I come from Group Bank Consulting, and we provide health and safety advice and training. Last time I spoke, I talked about magical numbers, and this week, magical thinking. A lot of people, magical thinking, basically they think it will never happen to me. And 2.2 million people in the UK every year get it wrong. Unfortunately, they suffer work-related illness, work-related ill health, they have a serious accident, or unfortunately, they sadly get killed at work. What we try to do is reverse that trend. Don't believe in magical thinking, come and get some health and safety advice, some training and some guidance so that you don't end up in the 2.2 million person box. So it's time to get realistic, don't be statistic, come and talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. James, you're next, followed by Mike Rogers.
Morning all, James from RMK Insurance, so general insurance brokers, so we will have a crack at literally everything. However, in honour of our venue today, if anybody knows any restaurants, cafes, bars, send them our way. At the moment, the market for them is horrendous. They are looking at 100% increases on their insurance premiums rather than 50% on their energy bills. A lot of the capacity out there is pulling out of them because of the number of claims, a lot of them COVID related, so they are suffering financially. So send them our way and we'll have a look at it. In honour of last week's venue, sports clubs, so cricket, rugby, football, we've got skin for those as well. So we can actually save some serious money for those guys, and most of those times they're not on a huge income. It is for the love of it rather than making money. So anything like that, send them our way. Following on from the football clubs, we've got a case at the moment in the news that a football club is suing their insurance broker, not us I should add, for underinsurance, because the value of their insurance doesn't relate to the value of their property. It's huge issues, and I haven't got more than 5 seconds, so I'll talk about that next week.
Thanks, James. Mike.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Mike Rogers from the Mortgage Store. I'm a mortgage broker. Now, those of you that were here last week will know that before I was so rudely interrupted by a bloke in the bell, I was telling you why all the lenders do everything different to each other. And the reason is the regulators don't tell the lenders how to work things out. They simply set them targets that must be achieved, and they leave each lender to work out their own rules as to how they're going to achieve those targets, which is why they all go about things differently. Now, last week I was telling you how they all assess self-employed income differently. I won't go over that again. This week I'm going to tell you how they work out how long you can have a mortgage for. The majority of lenders will now assume that you will have a mortgage up until your state retirement age, so it'll be 60. Shut up! I haven't finished yet! Lenders will assume that you're going to carry on working until you're 70, as long as you've got it. Anyway, if you want to know how long you can have a mortgage for, book a one-to-one with me, because I'm never going to explain it in 60 seconds.
Thank you for trying, Mike. Right, Nick Cook is next, followed by Mike.
Oh, good morning, my name's Nick, and as you know, I'm a student engineer. Amongst other things, I carry out home inspections for home buyers and home sellers. I looked at a very interesting house on Monday. Started off life in 1952 on a large plot of land very close to Brentwood town centre. The council would not grant planning permission for a house because they didn't have any problems with the caravan on the site. So the owner had a cunning plan. He put his caravan on the site and he built it on 8-foot high steel posts, in the knowledge that one day when planning permission would be granted, he'd fill in the gap below with walls and create a 2-storey house. Well, a few years later he got planning permission. This all happened. He died eventually, and he left the house to his son, who now wants to sell it. And that's how I've got involved with this property. I'm going to have to leave it there because I'm running out of time, but I'll follow it up next week with my incredibly 60 seconds. My name's Nick, I'm a structural. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. Mike Hickson, followed by Jane.
Morning all. Mike Hickson from LSA Schools. Thanks, Scott. We supply IT support to businesses all over the South East of England. We have engineers waiting to come out and assist with individuals that have problems with their IT. I'm desperately hoping I don't have to call on them today. I might have to do the 10-minute presentation. And it's a long time since I've worked with the setup like this, so fingers crossed it will go well. So that's Mike Hickson from LSAC.
Thank you, Mike. Jane, you're followed by Paul Younger.
Hello everybody, Jane Mallion, Rhymes for Stallion. What I was going to say, but instead I'm freshly back from South Africa and feeling incredibly lucky, especially in the current global times. Lucky to have met an Afrikaans lady who saved her tabs from her soda cans to make my jewellery for me. Lucky to have all these experiences. Lucky to be part of this group. To wake up very early, but to think, oh, it's all right, it's EBF. I'm very blessed. I hope that I can help to make you feel lucky, and I would like to just thank you for being you guys. Also, super lucky discounted chocolate brownies if anybody wants them today. But anyway, I just wanted to pass on my gratitude all round for my life and my part in this group. Thank you, dears.
Very nice.
Thank you. Paul, you're next, followed by Scott.
Good morning everyone, Paul DeLue, Red Pine Limited, we're a communications agency. We help businesses communicate clearly and effectively. Now Toby will tell you that people don't know what they don't know. Now when it comes to your business, that can be a problem, because if people don't know that you can solve their problems, then they're never going to speak to you about solving problems. Give you up. As Vince pointed out very eloquently in his education slide, case studies are a fantastic way to explain how you can solve people's problems. They need to be short, sharp, and informative, and able for the people reading them, your potential clients, to understand them. You need to explain what the problem is that your client came to you with, what you did to help them, and how you solved it. Get them on your website, send them out via email to potential clients, and show them how you can help solve the problems that they have. Paul DeLue, Red Pine Limited, communications agency. We can help you create your case studies. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Scott, you're followed by Tina.
Good morning, it's Dot Scott. I did have 60 seconds planned, but following Vince's head stop, I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to create a visual metaphor, which we're all part of, and I'm going to just sit and deliver my 60 seconds under here. Because I'm going to consider this room the search results page of Google, and if you want to deliver your presentation and be hidden away, it doesn't matter how good my message is, half you can't see me or hear what I'm saying, and it doesn't matter what it is that I'm doing, that's not going to get across to you guys. So what I'm actually doing today, one of my clients, we were talking about using emoji. So today I'm going to be updating all of the title tags across their site, and we're going to use the poo emoji and the toilet emoji to feature in their search results. So along with all those bits of text, the 20 odd listings, you've now got a bit of poo and a toilet at the start and end of their listing, just to create that piece of difference so that you stand out. Hopefully this visual metaphor has delivered something.
This stage right down in my driveway, Scott finally lost it.
From turds to toilets and then on to our next up, which is Tina, and followed.
Thanks, Scott. I apologise now. Good morning, everybody. My name's Tina. My company's called Liberty Executive Services. I offer a secretarial and admin service. Roses are red, violets are blue. If your office is in a mess, we can help you. So I'm looking for anybody that needs admin support, either typing reports, invoices, chasing invoices, or even just sorting out their office. Please pass my details and I'll be able to help. So that's me, Tina, Liberty Executive Services. I'm not a 9 to 5, I'm a start to finish.
Tina. You're next, followed by Paul Wood.
Vincent from Speed Print. Thank you. I was going to do this at the Christmas meeting, but we didn't have the Christmas meeting, so we're going to do it now. So anyway, I come from a long line of musicians. My father played the French accordion and boogie-woogie piano. And my grandmother was an opera singer. She performed at the Hackney Empire. And my great-grandfather was the principal conductor of the Halle Orchestra in Berlin. But what none of us could do was blow and talk at the same time. So Jane, if you would kindly do the honours, I thank you. Oh, sit down, please.
Vincent Good, the Mayor of Gants Hill and Printer Extraordinaire, would like to thank you for your support, referrals and good wishes for the past year, and he looks forward to working with you all in 2022.
So yeah, Speed Print, you think it.
The exit.
Yeah, that's it.
It was, yeah.
Right, well, next year's, when we vote on Best Blowjob of the Year.
Vincent's got it.
Right, thank you very much. By the way, for my own peace of mind, what do you call that instrument?
Anyone? It's a melodica. That's what it is.
Melodica. Thank you very much.
I believe you've got asthma, I will say that.
Right, Paul, you're next, and you will be followed by me.
Morning, Paul Burns, Chartered Certified Accountants based in Brentwood. Tax rates, as we know, are all rising, and there's going to be a re-emergence of tax avoidance schemes, which are all very dodgy. And the one I came across a couple of weeks ago was a firm that specialises, so they say, in creating provisions in accounts for potential GDPR claims. Particularly if someone's does a lot of marketing and sales calls, telesales, and say about providing provisions for £100,000 in accounts and then going back 2 years, signed off by a barrister. Very, very dodgy, very dodgy. So keep clear of these sorts of things. If anything that you come across that you want me to run my eyes across, happy to. Paul Booth on Booth & Co. In my tax, maximum good.
Thank you, Paul. Aidan Squire from Tia.
Sorry, one more.
Time off work for bereavement. Leave and pay when somebody dies. Guides for employers, beware. The right is to have time off if a dependent dies. What is a dependent? Spouse, partner, parent, child under 18. So if you're 19, you can't do it. Someone who lives in your household, but not a tenant or a lodger. Someone who relies on you in the event of injury, which could be an elderly neighbour. And someone who relies on you for care. There's no right for that leave to be paid. How much time off do you get? Well, helpfully, the law says it must be reasonable. But if it's a child involved, 2 weeks are allowed. Time off for funeral, but allow them also time for the service because it could be religious discrimination if you don't. So, contract properly drawn will be very beneficial for employers, and I can do that. As I say, in Squire, TM Law, and that is not last but not least, in fact, because Emma, who is with us as a guest for hopefully the last time,
didn't know whether to turn up this morning or not. Morning everyone, I'm Emma Taylor from Daisy Property Management and I am an estate agent based in Billericay but covering Essex. This week I have completed on a flat in Leyden Hills. It was a leasehold flat and there was several issues. Heating in the property, communal heating system. We then found out that there was major works involved as well, to the total of £7,000. But we managed to sort out a slight price reduction and get the property sold, and it completed on Monday. So, no it didn't, it completed on Tuesday. So we're very happy, got a very happy buyer, very happy seller, and at the moment I've sold 100% of my stock, so if you do know anybody who is looking to sell, I would appreciate an introduction. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Emma. Right, that is the end of the 60-second round. Let me hand over to Richard for the award of the Oscar.
Very good ones as usual. There were three that stood out. Jane, you said thank us all for being us, really.
Yes.
Vince. Happy New Year.
Did I win?
No. Did you go to school this week? Because I thought that was a good way of delivering this point. So this week's winner.
Thank you very much, Richard. Well, Scott. The only time we'll find him under the table this year, but it's a good start. Right, Scott. Again, meeting secretary, please.
It's lovely to see these being passed around the table. And these ones. I'm sure this isn't all of them, so if you haven't already, please remember, not only do we fill the bits of paper in on a Thursday morning, because technically now, I'm not going to do anything with these. I used to go home and write them all up into the system. What I'm going to do is go home and recycle them, because the ones that count now are the virtual forms. This is purely just something to help us through the meeting as we go along, another visual metaphor. So that's that. I wanted to say we have completed all the stats and the reports for our year last year. So if any of you would like to know how you stack up, what your total number of referrals was during the year, internally and externally, how many one-to-ones you claim to have had, how many synergy teams you attended, whether you think you're plus or minus the various different benchmarks that the membership committee will talk about you at when it's your renewal, then come see me. I can share all that info with you privately. I'm not going to give you everyone's, but I can tell you your own scores and stats if you find that thing interesting. That's me.
Thanks very much, Scott. Right, synergy team meetings. Now that we're back in the flesh again, they will ramp up. The first one up this month will be Paul. So, Paul.
Yeah, as you've probably all seen the invite, it's the B2B Finance and Profession Synergy Team meeting next Tuesday at 4:20 PM at George and Dragon Mount Essing. I will send another reminder on Tuesday in case there are people who aren't sure they can make it yet. But we'll finish at 6 PM, always the second Tuesday of each month. Secondly, the rearranged Christmas bash. Right, Brian obviously has been organising this. He has just gone to Tenerife, even with his broken parts of his anatomy, but he'll be back in 2 weeks, and the plan will be hopefully to arrange it sometime end of March. That's possible. We'll see on who can make it, who can't. Obviously, if there's people that can't make it, the number of people, then we'll try and get the best date to try and fit everyone. But it could be as soon as end of March, possibly even the third week of March. But we'll wait till Brian gets back. But it's going to be soon.
Thank you, Paul. I suspect as long as you can eat it with a spoon, Brian will be there and up for it, so that's good. Right. I think we're approaching the 10-minute presentation. I was going to sit down and do this, but I realised that with Ben not being here, I'm sort of standing in. So I roll in loco parentis. Let me details of all of the various dates of who's doing what via the email. And as I say, hopefully Ben will be here to tell us all next week anyway. Today's speaker who is going to produce a light show as well, Sonne Lumiere. That's just about right, Tina. Thank you. The speaker, his business name is LSA Systems. His position in the company is owner/director. The nature of the business is IT service provider. And the location and area covered is Billericay, London and the home counties. The personal section, that embarrassing moment when you have to fill in 4 funny things. Not bad this time. To the question, something that winds me up, the general acceptance by big business that poor service is accepted. The default message which most automated telephone answering systems that banks, insurance companies, etc. use is, you have called at a busy time. Your call will take longer than usual to be answered. Or words to that effect. An excellent thing that I have done, learned to ride a motorbike at the age of 58. I've now toured throughout the UK, the Canadian Rockies, Spain and France, and the northern states of the USA. Not bad in 10 years, Mike. Prized possession, of course, is his Triumph Speedmaster motorcycle. Something no one knows about me. My first job when I left school was as a deckhand on a tugboat, operating out of the Royal Courts of London, the Royal Docks, not the Royal Courts, operating out of the Royal Docks in London, now known as Canary Wharf. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mike Hickson.
Thanks very much for that. I'm going to sit down for the presentation because I've got much on the computer. Trust me, it's not going to be death by PowerPoint. I'm going to try and make it as interesting as possible, and I'm going to try and keep it within 10 minutes. If I don't, I might have to ask to come back for a second go to finish it off. But let's see how it goes.
You've got plenty of time, Mike. Well, I say plenty, you can go over the 10 minutes, we can look at that.
Okay. Right, so today, rather than talk to you about LSA systems and me, which is one of my favourite subjects, I thought I'd talk to you specifically about IT security, but hopefully with a bit of an interesting spin because IT security can be extremely dull. We all need IT, whether at work or just in our daily life. Most of us don't understand it, most of us don't want to understand it, but we all are becoming more and more dependent upon it, which allows my company to provide support and consultancy services to an ever-increasing market. Last year was an extremely busy year in the world of cyber security. Indeed, it was a record-breaking year for cyber attacks, predominantly due to the natural shift of people working from home. Businesses, both large and small, spend considerable amounts of money securing their internal networks in the outside world. But when a user moves outside of that network, they open themselves up to all sorts of scams. 80% of all cyber attacks are as a result of an email. And that email will contain malicious content, normally in the form of a link, and the email will encourage you to click on that link to obtain information or to provide information. The message will generally be designed to impersonate an organisation such as a bank or building society to instill a form of comfort within you, and it will work on fear or intrigue to try and get you to click on the link. The message will typically use a household name such as Amazon, HSBC or the Post Office, or even HMRC at certain times of the year such as January. And using those names instills familiarity and comfort within the user to put them off their guard. It will include an element of fear or intrigue to make it difficult for the user to resist following the instructions, and it will try to instill a sense of urgency in the user in order to make them act reactively rather than to spend time thinking about what they're about to do. These phishing messages, as they're called, have proved so successful that it's now recognised that the biggest single threat to IT security within a business is its staff. There are many ways to recognise these scam messages, and a simple education process for the users within a business can reduce the success of these threats enormously. The first level of security that a user can use to protect themselves is the use of a strong password. And that means at least 12 characters, using uppercase characters, lowercase characters, and numbers, and special characters. And it should be completely random, not some sort of well-known phrase. Here's an example of a really strong password. And I'll come back to that later. Anything less than that, with the right equipment and software, could be cracked in a very short space of time. An 8-character password containing uppercase, lowercase, numbers and special characters can be cracked within a single day. A 12-character password using the same format of characters can be cracked within 2 days. And if the user uses one of the top 2 million common passwords, such as password, hello, let me in, or their date of birth, it can be cracked within half an hour. But realistically, most criminals that operate in these circles are very much opportunists. They don't have the expertise or the equipment or indeed the time to break a password. So they will simply purchase a block of email addresses and passwords on the dark net. I don't know if many of you have heard of the dark net, but basically the dark net, or otherwise known as the dark web, is a collection of internet sites where a user can search for literally anything from drugs to firearms through to an individual's private personal information and password data and much, much more. It can't be accessed. It can't be accessed by standard search engines such as Google or Yahoo, and is only accessible by using a special browser called a Tor browser. The currency on the dark web is the Bitcoin, and individuals and criminal organisations have set up shopping sites very much designed around the eBay platform, where sellers are given star ratings for the quality of the goods and services that they provide, alongside testimonials such as great quality of data, over 50% of the passwords were still valid when I used it. And this is happening all the time. It's the data element that I really want to focus on today, because that's something that affects all of us. One of the most common reactions I get when I'm talking to a client about security is, why would anyone bother targeting me? I don't have anything that they would find useful. Well, here's why. Almost everything we do in life now requires a username and a password. Each organisation that controls the website or the app that you're using will specify the type of password that's required, i.e. its minimum length, whether to include numbers, upper and lowercase characters, special characters, so on and so forth, and how often it must be used. And remember, never write the password down. So how are you as an individual supposed to find your way through this battle of confusion? Because that confusion is causing individuals now to give up entirely on password management, and they use the same password multiple times with different sites. This can be a very dangerous practice because the criminal knows that this lethargy exists and capitalises on it. Once the criminal has verified a username and a password, they will try using it on many different sites, such as Amazon, Yahoo, and more recently Microsoft Office 365. There will be no logic applied to the sites that they try on. They'll try sites that you don't even belong to, such as a local bank, building society. It's purely a numbers game. the more mud they throw at the wall, the more chance there is someone that can stick. But how do they get hold of your username and password in the first instance? They'll buy it on the dark web. So how can we find out if an individual's credentials are available for purchase on the dark web? As part of our security support service offering at LSA, we use a system in-house to help us protect our customers called Dark Web ID. Dark Web ID is a piece of software which is not going to display very well because the screen's a bit close, but Dark Web ID is an application where we can search the internet, the dark web I should say, for your username and your domain name. This is an image of the, or not an image, it's actually the portal that we use. You can't see what I'm supposed to be logging into connecting to, but it's a software tool that allows my technicians to search the dark web for iterations of your email address or your domain name, and it displays the relevant data that relates to the email being queried. So, I'm going to have to do this blind. So basically, what this does so what I'm doing now is I'm selecting a company name, so I've selected LSA Systems, and it shows us any threats that have occurred on that site. So the names that we're monitoring and any compromises that have been recognised over a given period of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight to the area on the focus on, which is a user.
Mike, if you could give us a couple of minutes to wrap up.
Right, okay. Okay, so what I'm doing, I can find all the users that use that email address where their email name and address is available on the dark web. So I'm highlighting a couple of users where we can see that they've used the same password several times on different sites. And we can also see that the data which I'm viewing has been stolen from LinkedIn. There was a data theft at LinkedIn some time ago where the thieves stole usernames and passwords from LinkedIn and sold them on the dark web. Some of the passwords have what we call hashed characters, which are 20, 25 characters long, and by going on to Google and searching for hashed password cracker, you can find pieces of software that will give you the password that was used in that instance. So what you can do immediately is change the password. But if you've got, as I have, 150, 200 different sites with different passwords, it's very difficult to know which ones to change and how to change them. So I suggest you search for a product called Dashlane, which is a free product. It's a password vault. It helps you change your passwords, it helps you manage your passwords, and it will help you by automatically creating 12, 16, 20 character passwords for use on the internet. So if you would like me to go through any of this directly concerning your email address and your domain, either see me afterwards or give me a call and I'll do a personal one-to-one test for you. So, that's Mike Gibson from LSA Systems. Thank you, Mike. If you're brave, you're trying to use all of the equipment to get something up. If we'd have had the doll there, it would have been better. Yes. But thank you for that. And yes, follow-up. I mean, we all use IT. We are all concerned about passwords. So one-to-ones with Mike for everybody. But thanks, Mike. That was very useful. I've got a book of passwords that keep up to date, so I might be selling that on the dark web. But thanks for that. Brave effort, and as I say, follow up on that, because I think I was sparked by one or two things, thinking I need to know a bit more about that. So thanks, Mike, very good. Your exercise will follow because the referrals and testimonial round is up. If you could act as runner for, and as usual, we will start with Paul and work our way down.
Yeah, well done, Mike. Excellent. I use special aid companies very good. I have a referral for Mike Rogers, please.
Too many mics.
And yeah, we've got a referral for Aidan as well, please.
This is like being in a parliament, so we all just one drink.
I take the monies for James and next member,
Alright, yeah, great to see everyone. Yeah, really enjoyed that. I'm going to look up. It's Dash Lane or Dash Line?
Dash Lane.
I've had a one-time with Jane yesterday. Thanks for the lovely food and tea as ever when you go over there.
Welcome.
And just ongoing work with Matt, Paul and Scott, which will be resolved sometime in the next week or 6 months. Not sure.
I've actually got a referral for Aidan. My parents are looking to update their will.
Apologies, I've done my best work this week, but there's a thank you and money outstanding for Aidan and Terry. I'll catch up with you, John, if that's alright. I've got a couple of questions for you, so we'll get something. And I spoke to Ben Dent last night. He hasn't had a heart attack. He's got some sort of rare condition which they can manage. They can't cure, but they can manage. So fingers crossed, he should be okay with another set of meds. So good news on that one.
Great meeting, great slot, Vince. Good to see you. That thing is, there's a website, I've been born or something like that?
Yeah,
is it similar?
Similar.
Yeah, I can't even get emails from that telling me that I've been hacked. Got a one-to-one with Paul D afterwards, and got a, that's for him, that one, here we go. And thank you for the money for a referral that came from ex-member Rupert. Great meeting as always, very good 10 minutes. Mike, I'm acutely aware of password problems. Every time I go and buy something, I want a password. What I need to know, an accessible website that I can use all the time for generating passwords. Great to see you back, Emma. You'll be a member one day. Paul, thanks for doing my VAT. Thank you.
Great meeting, everybody. Good. It's like Vince. And the dark web really fascinates me because one of the clients that I work for, they actually use the dark web. I do psychological supervision. They work in extremism and terrorism. So they actually have the right, they go in there to look at not very nice things.
Scary place.
It's and like, so I have no idea how they get into it, but sometimes they kind of like, if I'm on Zoom meetings, they will kind of like
they call themselves different usernames, and one day it's like Terry Wogan, and another day it's like Ethel the Slayer, and I'm thinking, that's because they don't want to be known when they're searching things. So fascinating. I won't be here next week because actually I am going to London to see these people, so I'll see you the week.
Good presentation. Glad to be back. Lots of stuff to go. I've got one-to-one organised with Chronicle straight after this. And most enjoyable. Glad to be back.
I've got a few things to say today. I mean, firstly, I am going to have to say thank you to John. He's doing my bathroom and he is hitting at every stage. So I apologise if anyone else is waiting for him. But he's doing an incredible job on my bathroom, including the bathroom waste. So thank you very much for that. Mike Skinner, thank you for doing that video for me at short notice. That was really good. Obviously, thank you to Paul and Paul for your ongoing services. Brilliant as ever. And I've got a referral. Which one will I give you? The blue?
White.
The white. Aidan for rebate for my mum's estate. Thank you.
Great Scott meeting. Really great 60 seconds. I just wanted to sort of say, I thought Ali, your 60 seconds was absolutely bang on and so timely considering what's going on in the world. So duly noted. And great 10 minutes. Ash Lane, put down here. Okay, so I've got one-to-one with Toby after the meeting. I was desperately looking to see if I could find anything else there. And I had one-to-ones in the last week or so with Scott, Sarah actually, one-to-ones with Scott most days. And also thank you for the money, Scott, for some time and service still ongoing. I'll keep you at the top of the list. And then we've got a referral for John Freeman, only if you're passing. It's literally, I've got it for a pump. If you're passing the railway in that neck of the woods, then fine. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, great meeting. Excellent presentation. I use LastPass for mine.
Yeah.
It's not a person at the other end of the screen trying it. It's automated systems largely. I look after a couple of hundred websites, and every day several thousand attempts to try and log into all of those sites. It's a real big problem that we need to stay on top of. Richard, I've got flights to Mallorca as of this week from summer to Amsterdam Council, but nowhere to sleep. So I'm here to talk to you about arranging something for June. John was seeing you on Saturday. It was other stuff, but I can't remember. Thank you for being
Well, the dark web is for those fans of dark matter. There was a reason why I was going to. Don't worry. Thank you all for being here, and it's lovely to see you back. It's nice to be back from having succumbed in the mildest possible way to COVID. And thanks very much, Mark, for your. I think it stimulated a lot of interest in how difficult it was getting it over. You have, so hopefully you get some one-to-ones arising from that, and that's it from me. But Mike,
excellent meeting. I haven't bothered writing any bits of paper because Scott's just going to throw them in the bin anyway. I won't be here next week because I'm going on holiday, and the following week I will have another attempt at explaining to you how it worked out. I'm very worried because I'm sitting here thinking my login and password for my online banking hasn't changed for the last 20 years. That's probably a bit of a risk, really, isn't it?
Most banks don't provide you with two-factor authentication because they're like sending a code, and you have some sort of device that generates a third piece of information that you put in. So banks tend to be, by the nature of business, a lot more secure than other banks. But I would change the password anyway, just to be on the safe side. That's the motto of the motorbike.
And your mother agreed with me.
It was another great meeting. Yeah, another great meeting. A good 60 seconds and a great 10 minutes there. Scanners and identity theft. Everything was absolutely brilliant. One of our employees yesterday, very stressed. He's received an Argos credit card, which he didn't make an application for, and an invoice for 7 iPhones that he didn't buy. So he's got no idea kind of how it happened. Got one-to-one with Richard afterwards, and thanks to John, we do each other talk about our house. Like that. See you.
Great 10 minutes. We get DHL emails all the time saying that we've overpaid. Click on the link for a credit, and it's very hard knowing when we use DHL all the time. How do you know it's genuine? You have to really look at the hyperlink. I had a one-to-one with Scott last week. You did say?
Sorry.
From me from Mike for the each comment we did for you. I know it's a while back to do it. And one from LG Networks for the old courthouse, which is ongoing works there again. So, great. And I'll see you all next week. Presentation, Mike. Thank you. I haven't got a clue about any of that. Scott generally looks after my stuff. Give some good advice as well. Got a referral for Scott about adjusting the website, maybe turning it on abroad. Also, a referral for Terry. So these are no good now. I need to do the online one. That's what I like to see.
You wave around.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so one for Terry. It might be a fight on manufacturer. Thanks for the monies for Sarah, Scott, Aidan, Brian, Stuart coming. Good meeting. See you next week. And I'm sorry about missing your presentation, but I tackled off my son's been assaulted. Yeah, it's covered it.
Hurry up.
My wife foolishly clicked through an email from Facebook and consequently lost her account and her business page. So you do, as everyone's saying, you do have to be very careful on it, because people that aren't on it will succumb to it. I worry for people like Brian, perhaps, that maybe he's not looking that carefully and just clicks through. Thank you to Jane for your expert assistance. That went well, didn't it? Hey, we had a laugh, even though no one else did. And Ali, yes, your 60 seconds was very timely, as you very well know. A member of my family is having severe anxiety about the impending nuclear war. It's going to wipe her out and everybody else, so we should be seeking, as you know. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone. That was very thought-provoking and also very enjoyable meeting. Mike Skinner and I, we did a double one-to-one because he came to look at a tree, expert on trees, and we discussed video editing and delight. So that's you. Thank you very much, Mike. And if anybody wants, because I always bring things reduced if I bring them here, there's nearly £7 off, which, will compensate for how much more you've got to pay on your oil, surely. Thank you very much, everyone. Oh, come have a one-to-one, because I give you a free tea.
That's a really good 10 minutes and a scary one as well. It just makes you realise that you have to keep on top, especially changing all the passwords. All my accounts have all got different passwords. Sometimes I forget and I have to redo it.
Yeah.
Really good 60 seconds there, Vince.
Oh, thank you.
And I'll see you all next week. Thank you.
Okay, great X-Lock. Thank you to Toby for where we're up to so far. It's been really enlightening, really interesting. Next week's going to be the big one. Thank you, John, for your time fairly recently. We will be back in touch. It's just taking my wife a bit longer to choose the fittings than we got expected. And thank you to Capital Farm, because the fact that I'm a member of this group led the manager of the farm shop to contact me to ask for a security audit, which we've now completed. We're now just about to quote for the security
equipment to pick on it. So, thank you.
That goes through a system as a referral, but the from is from EDF, if you want to put that in.
Okay.
So Vince, what's your name? Scott. Is that the end of your snake then?
Sorry?
Is that the end of your snake?
No, it's the new manager.
It's a rather personal question.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's
snake is no more.
I've got an actual snake at home now, so I can
Oh, yeah, you lost that. Have you found it?
5 days, but it's in my lounge, and eventually after 5 days we can.
Otherwise, that would have been a problem Saturday morning. You could just now the rattle.
Right, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I reckon, John, if you can find a way of giving that thing out that you produced as a free gift to everybody,
If they're useless.
well, there we are.
There's thousands of them. It's a couple of shells.
It's become
It's absolutely nice things. Well done. Great.
Right. Yeah, just really wrapping up. Has anybody got any announcements that they'd like to make to the assembled multitude? No. Excellent. Good. Thank you for the referrals that I received today. I will be attending to those. And finally, just really commenting on these slips. Scott is going to not rely on them to do the recording, but for the referrals round, the idea is that we physically do make them so that we can make the contact with each other when we make referrals, or thanks for the money. So don't stop filling them out. We still want that to be done, but it's very much for the meeting, and the obligation is to get it done electronically, which is a lot easier. So
there are 3 parts to the slip. The green bit is the bit that's no longer of use to everybody, but the blue piece for your records still has value and relevance, and the white piece that you give to somebody else is just a visual prompt. You can stick it in an awkward pocket. When you get back home and you go to find your wallet later on, you'll be reminded that you've got those 3 referrals to deal with or something to follow up on. So do please keep passing these, and it's just the green bits that are no use.
Thanks so much. Yeah. Paul.
Yeah, what I do, if it helps anyone, I set up rules within my Outlook, my emails, and any emails that get any sort of business referrals, contributions get submitted through the EDF website goes into my respective inbox, dedicated inbox for referrals, thank you monies, etc., etc. When I come into the meeting, I can then just look at my phone and duplicate those on these referral slips and contribution, thank you money cards. So that's what I do. I just find it easy.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
You often have the service.
I think what this is all coming down to is the fact that we are a business referral, not a social referral. The social side of it helps and smooth the wheels. But at the end of the day, we want to be able to demonstrate the business that we have done by reference to the number of referrals that we've made, or the sort of money that is being passed. And the more accurate we are in recording these, the more accurate our records, and the better able we are to sell ourselves to the world at large. So, although we joke about it, the referrals round is always a pleasant diversion at the end of the meeting. It has its importance, and these slips of paper still have their importance. I won't go any further. I've gone too much. Thank you all for being here. I've enjoyed the meeting thoroughly, and look forward to seeing you all next week.